Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Bell, and this is To the Point. 45%. That's how much the calls to the suicide prevention lifeline rose after the government made it a little easier just to find help. In August, the three-digit number 988, it went live. It's a 911 of sorts for those who are dealing with a mental health crisis. And now, with the stroke of Governor Newsom's pen, the state will provide sustained funding for 988 crisis centers. And that's the topic of tonight's main point. And 2 shows us how the system is working.
Being heard and seen. Angelina Hinojosa knows just how important that is for someone in need of support because she has been in those dark moments before.
In today's society, you don't see a lot of people that look like you, so it's easy to get lost in the wrong crowds.
As a Native youth, she says she leaned on her tribe, the Pinot Pomo Nation.
Culture is what grounds me, whether it's praying or, going to ceremony on the weekends or talking to my elders. That's the way that I came back.
Suicide is the second leading cause of death of Native American youth between the ages of 10 and 20, according to the Sacramento Native American Health Center. It's a startling statistic within a disturbing national trend. Suicide rates in the United States increased 30% between 2000 and 2018. It is the 12th leading cause of death for Americans.
Are you having thoughts of suicide today?
There's always a listening ear. If you can't turn to a friend or a family member, call 988 24 hours a day. We're there to listen. We won't judge. We'll be there to help.
The 988 number launched in July, and in the weeks that followed, the Lifeline saw a more than 40% increase in calls, both nationally and locally, according to WellSpace Health, which participates in the Lifeline in the Sacramento area. Chief Programs Officer Christy Gonzalez says it's a good thing. Crisis counselors are more easily accessible.
Folks with suicidal thoughts or in a mental health crisis have always been there. It's just that there was no easy way to know how to pick up the phone and get that call.
The federal government says the average speed to answer calls through 988 has dropped to 42 seconds. Gonzalez expects crisis centers will be able to help even more people learn about 988, and state funding keeps the Lifeline running.
I hope that everyone can remember 3 digits, 988. It really is that easy.
And advocates say they hope 988 will be as common as 911. As WellSpace put it, everyone knows 911, but who really does know the local police emergency phone number? So this lifeline is meant to connect people to resources and counselors before it escalates into a very serious emergency. Gonzalez says 90% of calls to the lifeline are resolved within 30 minutes. People really, Alex, just need that safe space to be heard.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to know that if they are going through this, they are not going through it alone.
Absolutely, and communities will be making this point tomorrow across the country, including in Sacramento, starting tomorrow morning at the Capitol steps. This is the Out of Darkness Community Walks, and this is the information that you'll see on your screen if you want to participate. It is an opportunity to acknowledge the ways in which suicide and mental health conditions have affected people's lives and to remember those who were lost. The hope here really is to change the culture and how we talk about mental health, and the goal is to prevent these suicides.
Yeah, don't forget the number is 988. All right, so if you've been joining us here on To the Point, you probably know that we have spent a lot of time talking about teachers. There are not enough teachers to fill classrooms. The California School Board Association tells us that the state needs about 100,000 more teachers to provide high quality education for students. And we have spent a lot of time talking to local teachers and experts to try to get to the bottom of what's going wrong. So here's a little bit of what the teachers we spoke to had to say.
To be a teacher in California right now, it's kind of the worst of jobs and the best of jobs.
I'm seeing more considering things in education outside of teaching. More of them thinking, I think I want to go to the county level. I think I want to go to the district level. I think I want out of the classroom.
We had a big group of teachers in a certain age group who are now retiring. Then we had a 25% increase in retirements in 2020 because of COVID. It has leveled off, but it's impacted us greatly. And although we did have a slight uptick in teacher candidates graduating, it's not enough. It just isn't enough.
If things get worse, they're looking for a way out because they don't know if they can continue doing this for another 20 years. And that's horrifying.
We've heard from educators, and now we're getting a better look at the numbers behind all of this. Political reporter Morgan Reiner is here to fill us in. And Morgan, there are some really big concerns.
Nothing short of concerning. A new UCLA and California Teachers Association survey found that 1 in 5 current teachers will likely leave the profession in the next few years. What's interesting about this survey is that it differs by region. Teachers in more urban areas listed salary as a big concern of theirs because the cost of living is so high. Teachers in more rural areas listed political attacks as a reason more often that they are burning out. Lead researcher Dr. Rebecca Nasser said the impacts are, again, nothing short of concerning.
40% of California teachers tell us that the reality of the situation is that teachers are becoming more and more the target of political and ideological attacks, and that is contributing to the possibility that they will leave the profession. A lot of the things on this slide that are similar to the things where we saw very low levels of satisfaction, feeling that they're overworked and they have too many responsibilities, staff shortages, low pay.
Alex, teachers are also worried about disruptive behavior in the classroom. They say they need more services for the students, like counselors.
And Morgan, what does this shortage look like here for us locally?
Well, I spoke to the president of the Sacramento City Teachers Association, and he told me they have 192 vacancies right now. The teachers union tells me they've had to combine classes. They've also put multiple classes in a cafeteria, for example, because they couldn't find substitutes.
All right, Morgan, thank you. We appreciate it. And we do want to hear from any current or former teachers watching right now. Let us know what your thoughts are about the changing landscape in the classroom. All you have to do is just send us an email at tothepoint@abc10.com. Now, Governor Newsom has until midnight to sign bills into law. He just approved an extension to California's COVID supplemental sick pay. And if you're wondering, yes, that is the paid time off that you can get if you are dealing with COVID. And it was supposed to expire today, but it has been extended until the end of this year. Employers must provide up to 2 weeks of paid sick leave to any full-time employee. So eligibility is pretty wide-ranging. You can get 40 hours of paid sick leave if you tested positive for COVID, have to take care of family who tested positive, or if you need to get a vaccine. You can also get an extra week of sick pay if you continue to test positive or have to take care of family that tests positive. Now, the governor also signed a bill that aims at reforming and limiting the use of conservatorships in California. And you already know this is something that the ABC 10 Originals team has investigated extensively. Investigative reporter Andy Judson says that it's a broken system that has allowed the neglect and abuse of the most vulnerable. A new law will require judges to document all alternatives to conservatorships before granting them, and also allow potential conservatees to voice their preference of who would make those decisions for them. And after the break, people donated their own money to find Sherry Papini, but her kidnapping was all a hoax.
He had spun the story for so long that she wasn't going to come off of it.
They tell her that they have proof of phone contact with her and James, and that sends her spinning off into another direction.
It's my fault that I was flirting with other men. It was such a stupid thing to do. I love my husband. I love my children.
That's understandable.
Well, that was just a glimpse of what you will see tonight during a 2-hour special on 2020 right here on ABC 10. ABC News is taking a closer look at the Sherry Papini faked kidnapping case starting at 9 tonight. So Sherry Papini, you might remember, she's the mother from Redding. And back in 2016, the 40-year-old went missing for nearly a month before she was found along I-5, covered in what we now know were self-inflicted wounds. She claimed that she was abducted by 2 Hispanic women. And tonight's special will reveal never-before-seen police video of Papini and how she put her hoax kidnapping together, which did result in her 18-month prison sentence for lying to federal agents. Now, this case, it cost a lot of money, and Papini also got money from California's Victims' Compensation Fund that she later had to pay back. And some people even donated their own money to a GoFundMe, raising nearly $50,000 to find her back in 2016. Federal prosecutors claim that Papini and her husband used some of that money to pay off credit cards. So we did reach out to GoFundMe today. They tell us that the fundraiser for Sherry Papini was removed from their platform and they had not received donations since back in 2016. They also say that they worked with law enforcement to assist with their ongoing investigation. Now, if you donated to a campaign and later wanted your money back because you believe that your donation is being misused, there are definitely steps that you can take, but those steps also are time sensitive. So the Gofundme Guarantee allows you to submit a claim online, which the company says will be reviewed. We do have a link on our website, abc10.com/to-the-point. And it's Friday. Oh man. All right. After the break, we're hitting the back roads and we head to a science academy with let's just say a very colorful past. A big number is making headlines out of PG&E's wildfires, $117 million. That's the amount of settlement between fire victim lawyers and a group of PG&E executives. It settles claims that the executives acted improperly in overseeing safety at the company. And as we showed you just earlier this week, no executives went to prison, even though PG&E was convicted of 84 felony counts of involuntary manslaughter in the Camp Fire. So there are some key things to know about that $117 million settlement. One, it's coming out of PG&E's insurance, so it's not going to hurt the company. And then two, even though the deal was announced by the Fire Victim Trust, the money is going to the federal government and not to the fire survivors. And then we get to three. Even if it was, it wouldn't be enough money to match the advertised amount of their settlement. They are more than $1 billion short on the value that they were told because they were paid half in PG&E stock shares, and the stock has never been worth what it was projected to be during PG&E's bankruptcy. So we've got a whole lot more on that. You can check it out at thefirepowermoney.com. You can just scroll down to the episode that's called The French Laundry Connection. All right, we are marking our last day of the current water year, which started on October 1st last year. So tomorrow marks the start of our new water year and what could also be the fourth year of drought in California. And after the driest 3 years on record, experts are saying it will take a lot to bust this drought.
We do need to have, a conga line of atmospheric rivers come through across the state, not one, not two. We need a solid precipitation year.
Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods is here to help us break everything down because a conga line of atmospheric rivers, what is it, Monica?
It sounds a little daunting, right? Well, the atmospheric rivers are basically those big pushes of rivers in the sky that we get moving into the rainy season. We had one really large one last year. That was October 24th. It basically gave us a huge jump start on the water year. Raw numbers, when we combine everything from October 1st last year through September 30th of this year, look impressive. But when you see the actual deficits, you can see the northwest corner of California really hit hard. And that happens to be home to our largest reservoir in the state, Shasta. That puts us into some pretty bad territory there when we just don't have the surface water accumulation. Year to year, the drought monitor actually looks pretty good. You can see we made some headway there from last year's drought year, or water year, to this year's drought year. But when we break it down over the past 3 years, as you mentioned, it's the driest on record. Now, drought can be put into subcategories as well. So I want to take you through a series of graphics here. This one is our hydrological drought. So that's looking at our groundwater. There's a lot of red on the map there. And that just shows you how much drought we have, how low our groundwater is. Next, let's take a look at our snow water equivalent. If we were to take the snowpack, melt it all down, how much would come into our surface water accumulation? And unfortunately, we have a snow drought. Now, here's some of the positive
So that
news
was the
that we
snow
have.
drought.
That was the
Okay, I was
snow
like, I didn't
drought.
really see much there.
Just a few red dots because obviously we don't have as many monitoring spots in the valley because we don't get snow. So it's only going to be in the high country. Our soil moisture. We had a couple of nice little monsoonal moisture flows come in, and that helped bring up the soil moisture. So for agricultural drought, looking a little bit more on the wet side, as is the ecological drought. Now that's our energy release component. What that means is how much energy is being released if a fire were to start and how quickly it would burn. Again, because the soil moisture, that top level is a little bit more wet, we're not looking at that huge fire danger at this point in the season. So here's a look at the breakdown, and you can see we've got kind of equal categories here, some wetness and some dryness, but put it together, and after 3 years of driest on record, conservation is still key.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Monica. We appreciate it. All right, it's Friday. Let's go ahead and hit the back roads. This week, John Bartel takes us to San Diego County, and we're checking out an unorthodox science academy with a very colorful past.
I am Archangel Uriel.
If you're wondering what you just watched, you're not the first to ask.
What was that, Doctor?
These colorful and eccentric videotape recordings are called psychodramas, and they were produced by a group known as Unarius.
It stands for Universal, Articulate, Interdimensional Understanding of Science.
Unarius is located in the center of El Cajon, a city just outside of San Diego.
It's very eye-catching from the street here. Does it bring in a lot of people?
It does.
Kevin Kenny is a teacher at Unarius, and if you're curious enough to walk inside the building, he'll gladly show you around.
This model mock-up of a spacecraft was actually used in a film called The Arrival.
Unarius is not a sci-fi movie production company. In fact, they're far from it.
Unarius is a spiritual school, and in Unarius what we teach is that every one of us are energy beings.
Before you jump to any crazy conclusions, let's take a step back. Unarius was founded in 1954 by cosmic visionaries Ernest and Ruth Norman, with the goal of understanding energy and the joining of science and spirit. What does that mean, you ask? Well, there's an entire library of more than 70 volumes that explain the ideas of Unarius, but in simple terms, Kevin puts it this way.
It's a school where we learn as individuals how to become a better human being.
Yes, Unarius believes in UFOs, aliens, and they praise the work of inventor Nikola Tesla, but Kevin says in no way is Unarius a religion or a cult.
If you want to learn more about Unarius, that's wonderful, and if you don't, that's wonderful too.
Increased charismatic factor.
This is all raw tape, raw footage, and there's thousands of tapes here.
In the late 1970s and early 80s, Unarius co-founder Ruth Norman, who calls herself Uriel, asked students to make a series of movies, or psychodramas as she calls them.
This, for the most part, was not scripted. It was kind of...
None of it was scripted.
Listen, you know, you can be programmed to work on the computer like this idiot.
We would have an outline.
We shall go on to even higher, crowning the lights. Higher control. Yes.
Kevin admits that some of the improvisation was not great, but it was an important part of the process.
We weren't doing it to win an Oscar. We were doing it as a part of our own healing.
Unarius teaches that the human soul as we know it is actually just energy that lived in multiple past bodies. The psychodramas were meant to represent scenes from the actors' past lives.
It was just us exploring our own mind.
Kevin says under the direction of Uriel, the costume designs and special effects more than made up for the lack of acting skills, and the colorful psychodramas were then distributed to public access stations across the U.S. to help spread the teachings.
She began this video department and film department at 78 years old.
And when Uriel passed away in 1993, she left behind a small legacy, a legacy of creativity and not being afraid of believing in something different.
Do some people think you guys are crazy?
Absolutely. Absolutely. But, you know, if you're on a crazy world, isn't that a badge of honor?
Let the love of life flow unto all mankind and you.
From the Unarius Academy of Science in El Cajon, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the back roads.
Take a quick check outside and take a look at our Gilmore backyard here. Our current temperature is not doing too bad. Sacramento at 89, same thing over at Stockton. And a quick check of your 10-day forecast because it's the weekend. Thanks for spending your Friday evening with us. We're all so ready to go. Thanks for spending your Friday with us. Also, we have Mariah back. She's been in the newsroom writing stories. We told you she got a promotion. Oh, buddy. She's back, though, with us on To The Point. We're so excited. Have a great weekend. Make sure you email us at tothepoint@abc10.com. Saying hi to Mom. Yeah. Hey, it's Alex. Just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. I really love hearing from everyone, and I hope that you'll stay in touch. Reach out to me on Facebook at AlexBellTV, or you can email me at tothepoint@abc10.com, or you can even send me a text message at 916-321-3310.